Hi friends, this is Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and as you saw in the thumbnail, we're looking at a Sanrenmu knife, the 9031. This is a fairly new design, and it's even got a new logo on here. When this design first came out earlier this year, it had the stylized characters, the Chinese characters for Sanrenmu. Now it's got the word Sanrenmu on there. For the Western market. They do make their knives for the Western market and for the Asian market, and sometimes they have different logos because of that. It's a thumb stud and flipper knife with a very robust design. This knife is a hard user design, and I think the execution matches with what it's designed to do. So if you're interested in a big folder, not oversized or anything, but a big folder that is ready to work hard, you're going to want to know about this knife. So stay tuned. The full review's coming to you right now. Well, my Ontario Rat 1 is still in hiding somewhere, and I'm not quite sure where I left it. Let's do a little bit of size comparison with some other knives then. Here's the Sanrenmu, Land. The Land brand is part of the Sanrenmu line. This is the 9103, and if we line up the pivot points, see it's a little bit smaller than this guy. Here's a typical Ganzo knife. This is the 7039, and if we line up the pivot points, there you go. It's very much the same size. Blade length, cutting edge is a little bit shorter on this guy, but the handle's very much the same. So what do we have? We've got Sandvik 12C27 stainless steel, which is a good budget steel. And this time they actually put the full name and everything on the steel. And then right there is the date stamp. So this was made in August 2019. So we've got a swedge across the top here, a saber grind, which is a flat grind that doesn't come all the way to the spine. You know, the spine of the handle does drop, blade does drop a little bit. Then we've got a clip point here, and that clip point is the full length of the grind here to the tip. Nice belly here, and just a very short section that's straight. Very nice. This is a robust knife. So there you go. As you can see, that is a robust blade. Fairly thick stock here. It's not going to break on the tip very easily, but it's not that thick behind the grind either. It's actually the perfect thickness that I look for in a knife, and I'll give you those specs later on. That's most of the blade here. It's a satin finish on here. You can see the grind lines, coming down across here. There's your sharpener's choil. Very nice. The plunge ends, and then there's still another little bit of the sharpener's choil coming forward. So when you go to sharpen this knife, it'll be easy to sharpen it right to the end without marring up your ricasso or the plunge at all. So that's a good thing. Even with this thumb stud, if you're clamping across here, and if you don't clamp too deeply, most of your systems will be able to sharpen right to the edge without having your thumb studs get in the way, because these thumb studs are not huge, but they're big enough to be functional indeed. The flipper tab becomes a bit of a guard right there. Blade alignment, perfect. It's exactly in the middle where you want it to be. When you open the knife, blade locker alignment, the liner lock lines up exactly where I want it to be. No blade play side to side, up and down, ball bearings, so it's got very good action, and the blade just sort of falls into place. We've got some jimping across the liner lock right there, which is perfect. Easy to get a little bit of grip on that and know exactly what you're doing. So you don't have to be looking at what you're doing. It's easy to release that lock, right or left-handed. Actually, left-handed, I'm not that good with this knife for some reason. I think it's because the reach has to come forward a little bit further than I might prefer. And maybe it's because I've got my hand too far back. If I had my hand up a little bit more, yeah, that works a bit better. So it's just hand placement. The cutout is kind of, gemographic. No, it's a bit of, it's not like a nice round choil here. It's kind of cut out flat and it comes back up. Geometric shapes. We've got this jimping on the side of the G10 there and across the spine of the handle as well. Not across the spine, but on the side of the spine. And then we've got a little bit of a relief cut there and across here. And it's chamfered all around the rest of the edge. So it's actually a very grippy handle. When you have this in your hand, you've got a good grip on it. It's not going to slip easily. I do find one con is I wish this choil here was either a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, because right now my middle finger lands right along there. So if I put my finger in there, you can see it on this look. My finger gets in there and then this middle finger is right on that edge. So I wish it was either shorter so that just my index finger was in that choil, or a little bit longer so that both front two fingers would fit inside there. It's not bad. It might have to do with my hand size. My hands are between large and extra large, about 10 and 11 in the European men's glove sizes. And so, somebody with smaller hands is going to find it more comfortable. Somebody with bigger hands is going to find it more comfortable. It's just in that sort of in-between size for me. But it's not really a hot spot unless I'm using the knife for an extended period of time. But just occasional EDC tasks, not hot in the hand at all. The pocket clip is a deep carry pocket clip, and it's got that extra little bit of it comes up a little bit extra. If we do it this way, I think I've got a picture that's oriented. Yeah, I've got a picture that's oriented this way. And on that picture, you can see that the screws don't stand any more proud than the bottom of the clip right at that point there. So I drew a red line across. So it's actually not a problem that there's not flat screws in there. Although I do prefer flathead screws, not bad. And the lip here, or the tongue of the pocket clip, comes up high enough that it's not a problem at all sliding between your pants to get this in your pocket. And if it was a little more shallow, like another recent knife that I reviewed, it could be a problem. And if it was any higher, it might be a hot spot. But this pocket clip is actually perfect, and it's right or left. There's no plug on this side. This is a budget knife, under $30 US, so I don't mind that there's no plug there. The lanyard hole, they've got a tube in there, a steel tube. So that's kind of nice. We've got two body screws and then the pivot screw holding it together, and that's plenty. I think there's probably another pin in here. I haven't taken this knife apart yet, but I will take it apart after I'm finished recording, then I'll record the insides. Here's the glass breaker. It's a tungsten tip glass breaker or some other really hard metal. On a close-up, you can see the two different metal colors right there. So the tip is very hard, and it's removable. So if you don't like having glass breakers in your pocket, that's not hard to remove, because they put two flat spots on there, and so you can take pliers on there and undo that without it, no problem at all. And it doesn't hurt the integrity of the knife, because these other screws going through hold it together. Steel liners. There's a little bit of skeletonizing in there to keep the weight down. So why don't we just pause right now and show you the insides of the knife? Oh, wow. I should have been recording when I was taking this knife apart, because look at that, roller bearings. Not only is there roller bearings, they've gone all out. This knife is $30. So we've got roller bearings on both sides. We've got this tube here for the lanyard. We saw that. Nice big robust stop pin. The D shape here on the pivot pin, so that's not free spinning. But even on these pins back here, these body pins, those are also D shaped, so they're not free spinning. Wow. I don't understand. See, here's the two screws, those holes. I don't know if I'll take a close-up with those or not, but yeah, those are D-shaped, so it's not free spinning. So if your screw doesn't turn on the one side, undo it on the other side. And on this one, it was the left side that I undid the screws on, because that was easiest. Steel detent. This is a well-made knife worth much more than $30. So if you're in the market for one of these, get it while you can. There's 4 left on Amazon when I checked this morning. I think the first 4 people to watch this video might just buy it. So there you go. That's what it looks like when it's taken apart. And that's, you saw the ball bearings and everything. Very, very nice. That's why the action is so nice. I just love the action on this knife. $29.90. That's how much this costs. So that's on Amazon.com. Amazon.com does ship this knife to Canada. It is fulfilled by Amazon, so it's very likely that the shipment will go through and get to you in Canada without being stopped by customs, but of course we can't guarantee it. Thumb stud deployment or flipper. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, I was going through the prices, wasn't I? There's also AliExpress that has this knife. Yeah, $29.90 US on AliExpress. That equals about 27 euros, about 23 British pounds. Germany, Amazon has this knife for 32.99 euros. So I got a link down for Germany to get this knife. The AliExpress price probably doesn't include the VAT, but I think the Amazon price does. If you're buying this from Amazon.com and you're in Canada, your price equivalent is just under 40 Canadian dollars. So for 40 Canadian dollars, this is a good knife. It's just under 30 US dollars. I like it an awful lot. So let's go over all the dimensions, and I'll put that on the screen while I'm doing that so you know when this leaves the screen, I'm done with the dimensions, so you can just scroll forward quickly if you want to. This knife weighs 147 grams, which is 5.15 ounces. So I'm calling it, a 5-ounce knife. Not bad. The cutting edge sharpness from the factory, 185 best, which is good. Not great, but it's certainly not bad at all. 200 is considered sharp and smaller is considered better. So 185 is smaller than 200, so that's a good sharp edge. The length of the cutting edge, 9.22 centimeters, 3.63 inches. The length of the blade, tip to the G10, is a bit less, 8.75 centimeters, 3.45 inches. The blade thickness, right here, 3.1 millimeters, that's 0.122 of an inch. So that's right around 1/8 of an inch thick, so that's good. The blade depth, this measurement, 2.95 centimeters, 1.16 inches. The thickness of the edge, right behind the grind, right there where my thumbnail is, 0.5 millimeters, which is 0.0195 inches. Perfect. That's exactly the thickness I want on an EDC knife of most budget steels. 0.5 millimeter, excellent. The grind angle, also excellent. 18.2 degrees on this side, 18.3 degrees on that side. Maybe I got them wrong. Maybe this is 18.2. But in any case, that's very symmetrical, and the grind angle, beautiful. 20 degrees is often considered standard by most people in the community, the knife EDC community, but that's a number that came about when steel was not as good as it is these days. 12C27 Sandvik is like 58 Rockwell hardness. That 20 degrees, that's probably best for, 55 Rockwell hardness and softer. So this can handle being more shallow, no problem at all. The handle length, this time not counting the glass breaker, so just the G10 length, 11.93 centimeters, 4.7 inches. The grip area between my thumbs here is about 9.6 centimeters, 3.78 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, 1.52 centimeters, that's 0.6 of an inch. So a little bit thicker than a lot of knives at about 1/2 an inch, but this is a robust user, so not bad. The handle depth, that's this measurement, and the handle depth when the knife is closed, those two are the same because that measurement, the blade comes right across there, not counting the flipper tab, of course. 3.12 centimeters, 1.23 inches. The total length of the knife from tip to the end of the glass breaker, 20.9 centimeters, 8.23 inches. So basically 8.25 inches long. And we've got, 3.6 inch cutting edge. Very, very nice. So the proportions are great. The balance point on this knife, let me get it right here. There we go. That's the balance point right there. So it's exactly where you want the balance point to be. This is a comfortable, good knife. One of the things I've not yet talked about is it's got the Linerlock extra lock right here that like some of the rake knives have. Sanrenmu, Rake, Real Steel, they're all the same big mother company, and these are sub-brands or sub-companies. I don't think it's just brands. I think they're managed by different people. They're sub-companies, but they're related to one another. And the way this works is if you push that lock forward, then a little tab of steel gets in the way of the liner lock release, and you can't release the lock, and that effectively locks the knife in place. So some people like that, some people don't. The thing is, it's quite discreet, so if you don't want to use it, don't use it, and it doesn't get in the way. Very seldom have I inadvertently, locked it or unlocked it when I want it the other way. It's just designed very well in that regard. It's a little bit of jimping on there, so when you do want to use it, it's not hard. So, got to unlock it again. I just locked it. So there you go. Action's great. The detent is wonderful. You can hear that close. And so it doesn't open accidentally easily. And when you want to open it, it comes out with authority. It overcomes the detent and then just flies out. Thumb stud, even better. I prefer thumb studs over flippers, to be honest with you. Although I like flippers as well. The action is really good. On the left side, you don't have as much room to get behind that thumb stud as you do on the right side. But us lefties are always having to suffer more. We do get into more accidents and things. This side, is cut back further, as you can see by the liner lock, and that means better access to the thumb stud. This is a nice knife. This is a robust user indeed. I don't use lanyards, so I don't mind that, there's no indentation of the lanyard tube hole. If I was to use a lanyard, I'd prefer it to be inset a little bit, but this isn't a problem at all. And it's a comfortable knife. Looks good, feels good. Going over all the pros really quickly. Deep pocket clip, lanyard tube, glass breaker with tungsten tip for those who want it, and it's removable for those that don't want it. The liner lock release has that jimping on it to make it easy to use. You've got your choice of opening mechanisms, flipper or thumb stud. You've got a nice steel with nice thickness, well-made, strong tip. G10's got, grippiness on it, so it's not a knife that you're going to drop easily. Nice polished satin grind on it. I would prefer stonewash, but satin's just fine. Doesn't have any hot spots in the hand. Sharpener's choil is very good, made exactly like it should be and where it should be. And, that stop pin is thick. I haven't talked about that yet. That's a nice thick stop pin in there. And, lock up action. Everything's really good on this knife. What's the con on this knife? It deserves a better steel. This is a good steel, but I think they should make this knife with an even better steel as well, and maybe put a stonewash on it, give a black wash version. I think a lot of people should be getting this knife, and once it gets more popular, hopefully they'll come out with more variances of it, different colors on the handle, different treatments, and different steel. But as it stands right now, at just under $30 US, this is a good, robust knife. If you're in the United States and you watch this, on Friday, hopefully I get this video edited by the end of the day. You might be able to get it by Christmas. And, hey, that'd be a nice thing, wouldn't it? But even if you can't, I think you should put this on your list. If you're a budget knife guy or gal, this is a knife that you might want to consider. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And let others know about this channel too, if you would. Remember, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.